The first time I realized that working hard and doing a good job was not going to get me promoted was a few years ago. I was in a conversation with my boss's boss and I asked,
"Hey ladies, welcome back to my channel. It's your host London Lamborghini, and in today's video we are going to talk about why your hard work is not going to get you promoted, why being dependable is backfiring, how to deal with a boss that doesn't like you, and why your boss doesn't want you to find a mentor, among many other topics that are going to help you navigate and succeed in your career in the corporate world. So without talking too much, let's get into the video.
The first time I realized that working hard and doing a good job was not going to get me promoted was a few years ago. I was in a conversation with my boss's boss and I asked, what do I need to do to get to the next level? Because I had taken 3 lateral moves at that point and had met or exceeded expectations in all of them. He said, "There's nothing else you have to prove. We are just not ready to promote you." I realized in that moment that the reason I was never going to be promoted was because I was too valuable in the role that I was in. Who was going to do all the extra work and make the rest of the department look good if Roxy did? It is not lost on me that one of my disadvantages is I'm a first-generation college student, and I didn't have parents in corporate America or even family members who had to navigate corporate culture. So I didn't really have anyone to show me the way. I've been learning and figuring things out as I go. So I found myself about 10 years into the game learning that I was not promotable material, because why promote someone who is already doing the job of the next level, plus the one she's in, and several more. But the key thing in all of this is the realization that performance alone was not going to get me to the next level. There are so many other things that play into it. Is the work you're doing getting exposure? Is your boss or others speaking your name in rooms that you're not in? Is your boss respected enough where if they did, people would listen? Are you getting credit for the work, or is your boss getting credit for your work or someone else? How are you viewed? How are you perceived? What is your image like? And most of all, what visibility are you getting, and whose elbows do you need to rub in order to get to the next level? That conversation taught me a lot, because for the first time I was reading between the lines of what was being told to me. This work that I love and sacrifice so much for was leading to burnout, anxiety, and depression. I was always sick and I gained a lot of weight. Yet the results weren't leading to the outcome that I expected or I felt I deserved. Needless to say, I wasn't putting myself first. And so I created this space here because this time of my life is called investing in my personal brand. While you're out there helping someone else achieve their dreams, make sure you prioritize your own as well. There are a few things that you should know about me before I jump into how I moved on after that discussion. 1, I have switched jobs without guilt, roughly 2 to 3 years, every 2 to 3 years of my career, but that decision is never easy and is often stressful. And 2, I am a hard worker by nature. I'll do what it takes to survive, and these struggles around moving up or even being in a corporate setting are a blessing, and I often have to pinch myself to make sure it's real. In college, there were times where I had 3 jobs because I didn't grow up with a whole lot. And like I said, I'll do what it takes to survive. And I didn't have a backup plan. There was no one coming to save me. My mom always said, if you want something in life, you got to go get it yourself. So I left that discussion feeling defeated, but not before I was told that I was at the top of the list for a promotion. And I've never even had a discussion like that in my career. The first time my employers in the past knew I was unhappy was the day I turned in my notice. But honestly, I wanted to stay. Packing up everything and moving again was exhausting to think about, and I didn't want to do it just yet. But I wasn't on the top of the list because a reorg happened and a few others were promoted, which let me know again that it wasn't going to happen for me. So first, I updated my resume. This was a transformative couple of years for me, and I wanted to make sure I added all of the things in terms of results, KPIs, that I met and experienced, and the growth we had experienced as an org as a result of my contribution. 2, I then updated my LinkedIn, and I started applying for roles at the next level. And with every application, I catered my resume to that role. 3, I still did my job extremely well. My idea of quiet quitting is still doing an amazing job, but my heart not being in it. That's where I was. I ended up with 2 job offers, and I chose the one that I felt was the better fit for me and where I was looking to take my career. And so I left. Exactly 2 months after that discussion took place. I understand that a career journey is not exactly a ladder. It's more like an elevator. You get off on different floors and spend a little time. Sometimes you're in it and don't realize it's going down instead of up, so you need to hold on and make some changes so that it starts moving in the upward direction again. Sometimes you get off on the wrong floor and need to get back on. Sometimes you get stuck, but eventually you arrive. And for some of us, when the elevator is broken, we just need to take the stairs. Growing up in a house where money was only discussed in the context of we don't have enough to make ends meet, or we are living paycheck to paycheck, will have you feeling blessed to even be earning a livable wage. But we need to get over feeling content. Get out of this "I'm just happy to be here" era and start asking tough questions to get what we deserve and more. Many years ago, I found out that I was not on my company's bonus plan in a random conversation with a colleague. When that information was revealed to me, I was hurt because why would that benefit not be extended to me when I had been hired to do a critical role in driving the company's digital transformation? But we don't know what we don't know, right? I immediately crafted a plan to raise my concerns with my manager. And the time was right because I came on and I realized I was literally doing 3 jobs. Like, my role functions even had different titles. I approached my boss and asked for a salary review. She asked if we could tackle that in my performance review that was coming up in a few months, and I agreed. My performance review came around and she didn't even bring it up. And I didn't bring it up because I thought she would. That was my first mistake, assuming that my boss would understand what's top of mind for me. I went back to my desk and let that marinate for a bit. I actually let a few months pass before I approached this subject again. That was mistake number 2. If you want something, you should ask for it early and often. But again, talking about money was weird for me. I worked up the courage to ask again in my next one-on-one, but it was in that conversation that I was told that she couldn't make that call and I would need to talk to her boss. Well, he didn't work in my office, so I had to wait a few months for him to visit. Video calls were not really popular then, and I literally refused to have a desk phone, but also, that type of conversation is better had in person. He and I finally had the conversation, and I came ready with performance stats, examples of how my work was laddering up to the organizational goals, examples of going above and beyond, and data points on what my market value was and where I should be comp-wise. I asked for a 15% raise and requested I be put on the bonus plan. We went back and forth for a bit, but he agreed to a 10% base pay increase and a 10% bonus depending on company performance. That was my first successful negotiation, and I was so proud of myself. However, it didn't sit well with me that I was a salaried employee withheld from a company bonus program. The person who mentioned it to me was many levels below me. So although I got the raise and what I asked for, I started to plan my exit. If the bonus plan was withheld from me, what else didn't I know? Transparency is everything. Know your worth and then add tax. For anyone starting out in their career, I think we can all agree that a phrase that sums it all up is, we don't know what we don't know. I regret not reading the room more at the start of my career and for not advocating for myself more. I was the hard worker that kept my head down, did my job, and was just waiting for my turn. I quickly became the go-to, the one who could teach the process better than anyone, and that was dependable, reliable, and a solid team player. But after years of doing that and realizing that performance doesn't get you promoted, I learned how to promote myself, either up or out, and here are some things that have worked for me. I track everything I do. You may be doing a lot, but no one knows exactly what you're doing. You may be doing a lot and no one even knows that you're doing it. So let's document. It will make those performance review discussions easier and come in handy when you ask for the promotion or raise that you rightfully earned. Another thing that I do is I schedule a career reflection with myself. I do this every 6 to 12 months and I think through, do I like what I'm doing? Do I like where I work? Do I enjoy the work? Do I feel stagnant or am I content? Are there experiences I need to get to the next level? These are all the things that I walk through to make sure that I am happy with where I'm at. I also ask for feedback. I start with my boss, and if I'm ready to move up, I ask what experiences do I need, or what do I need to develop or work on to get to the next level. But I don't stop there. I request a skip level meeting with my boss's boss. It's also great to get feedback from peers. Self-awareness is everything. Lastly, always be open to taking a discussion from a recruiter. You truly just never know how that phone call may change your life. I shut down a recruiter once, and 6 months later the role opened back up and she reached out to me again. I took that call and eventually took the job, which moved me to Cincinnati, Ohio. 3 months after moving, I met my now husband. I'm walking into my taking charge of my career journey era. You coming with me? So how do you deal with a boss that doesn't like you? Let me share a personal story on this. I had a hunch that a boss didn't like me, and it all became clear when someone shared their screen and I saw messages between them and my boss talking bad about me. Yeah, that happened. By the way, I often combine stories and experiences, and this is one of those combo bites. So how do you overcome a bad boss? Here's some tips of things that have worked for me. The obvious one is to leave, but I'm going to focus on some things that I've done when I decided to stay. And I don't think a bad manager is a sign of a bad company culture. People often think that the only way up is to lead, and some folks are just not ready to lead. However, having an inexperienced manager is better than having a manipulative one. I've had both, and these tips apply either way. 1. Learn how to manage your manager. My goal is always to make my boss look good. I also strive to bring solutions to the table and not just issues, and I hold myself accountable. But what has helped me is asking about their communication style and how they like to work, and I share mine with them as well. 2. You have to speak up for your work. If your boss asks, you want to speak to this slide? Yep. You care to present to the broader team? Absolutely. If you don't speak to your work, your boss gets to own the story that gets told, and more times than not, your job well done and credit will go to them, not you. Build a reputation and network outside of your direct team. If your work is only visible to your boss and direct team, then you're lacking the visibility needed to get to the next level. When calibrations happen, if you have not spread your influence across other key managers deciding on performance ratings and promotions, chances are it's not going to be you. Establish healthy boundaries. Make sure your boss understands how you work best from day one. Like I mentioned above, share your communication style and what you need to be successful. All of these things help to establish boundaries, and stick to it. If you start answering emails at midnight and then find your boss is annoyed that you're no longer responding immediately, that's because you did not stick to your boundaries. Go back and listen to the part on managing your manager. And if you know you have a bad boss, keep receipts. Document everything. I screenshot that message I saw so damn fast because for the longest time, I thought I was creating this narrative in my head, but nope, my gut was right. I was able to rotate to a new department in a more elevated role because my reputation and impeccable work were highly visible. When I recognized the game that my manager was playing, I took my game to an entirely different level. With 2 outs in the bottom of the 7th and bases loaded, I will always want to be the one up to bat. Bet on yourself. There have been times in my career where I've realized the reason I was so unhappy with the work and the company was because I hadn't built genuine connections. There were some things that I had to unlearn, such as channeling my mama's advice of, you were born by yourself, or other folks' mindset of, I'm getting my money and I'm going home, to realize the only true path to growth is building connections. Building connections at work is so damn hard, but let's layer on the working remote aspect and it's even harder. So I wanted to share some things that have worked for me as an introverted extrovert navigating through corporate culture. I believe you need 3 types of people at work to thrive. 1, someone who can be transparent with you and talk about work but also non-work related things. This person is the closest thing to a best friend you can find at work. But we did meet through work, so this person is the work bestie. 2, you need someone who can give you solid advice and who is okay with providing constructive criticism. This person is the mentor. And 3, you need to build a relationship with someone who has influence. This person will be able to advocate and push for your involvement in key projects that gives you great visibility. This is your champion. Even working remote, you can still build these connections. To find the work bestie, if it doesn't come natural, scroll through that org chart or those participants on an all hands call like it's your part-time job, and reach out to folks and ask for a one-on-one. I bet you can find at least one thing that's relatable. Heck, I made a work bestie one time because I used to live in Texas and she at one point was considering moving there. We're all thirsty for connections. For the mentor, you should ask HR for guidance. I would say ask your boss, but honestly, sometimes they can be weird thinking, why do you need a mentor when you got them? Let's just avoid that unless you don't think this will happen. Oftentimes, HR already has programs in place for this. And then for your champion, this honestly might be your boss's boss. Ask for a skip level meeting. This will allow you to get a deeper understanding of business priorities, and also the exposure will be great. If there's one thing that I know for sure, it's that building genuine connections will open so many doors. Here are 5 ways to introduce yourself without leading with your title. Hi, Roxy Kaus. My specialty is e-commerce merchandising and commerce strategy. I lead our merchandising function and several of our conversion rate optimization initiatives within the organization. Hi, Roxy Kaus. Thank you for bringing me into this discussion. I've been working on a few initiatives to drive sales and activate our marketing strategy across the customer lifecycle. Hi, Roxy Kaus. I am here to provide merchandising best practices and trends and help us streamline the path to purchase for our customers. I can help with answering any questions you might have about the e-commerce site activity and how we're tracking the plan. Hi, Roxy Kaus. I am so glad we are having this conversation actually. Before I go into a ton of detail about my role and what my team is doing, I would love to understand some of the high priority things you're working on, and that would help me get a sense of how I can support your goals. Hi, Roxy Kaus. I am super passionate about merchandising strategy and leveraging data to make informed decisions. I'm the director of merchandising here at XYZ.
What a wild video. Thank you for staying until the end of the video. I love each and every one of you, especially all my new subscribers. If you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. It costs $0.00 to subscribe. Don't forget to go ahead and let me know your personal experiences and stories down in the comment section in paragraph form. I want to know every single detail. Tune back in tomorrow for a brand new video where we upgrade our health, wealth, and relationships by turning information into action. Until next time, see you in the next video.